We know that after record highs come record lows, and we try to plan for it. We didn't go wild spending money last year, because we had it. Last year was nice, but you just can't plan on that.
Tim Taft's Vermont family farm has weathered booms and busts for decades. And true to form, the fourth-generation dairyman is riding out a downturn in milk prices, which this year have plummeted well below 40% from 2014's record highs.
We can't store our milk and hang on to it for a better price, so that does make it quite volatile.
For those faced with diminishing returns, USDA's Margin Protection Program, a provision of the 2014 Farm Bill, offers insurance. Payouts trigger when the difference between nationwide milk prices and feed costs drop below producer-specified dollar amounts. Last week, Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack announced the program's largest monthly payment. Producers who enrolled at the $6 to $8 trigger for 2016 will receive a portion of an $11.2 million disbursement. The dairy industry has called for further adjustments, prompting some to conclude the Margin Protection Program will be a central issue in the next Farm Bill. Taft admits buying into the strategy can be risky.
Grain here is quite a bit more expensive than it would be in the Midwest. They're going to make the margin greater when ours might be tighter. If we wanted to protect $7 of a margin, we may drop below that and not get paid anything because the whole country may average better than a $7 margin.
Diversification is another way to hedge against uncertainty. And among Vermont dairies, it's common to tap the state's abundant hardwoods each spring for added profits. The small New England state leads the nation in maple syrup production, cranking out close to half of domestic supply.
The sugar house is on one side of the road and the dairy's on the other, so sometimes they say the money has to go across the road.
However, some years maple harvest only lasts a few short weeks. So traditionally, milk and the range of products derivative of the liquid commodity have braced business tandems like Taft's against adversity.
When you talk about Vermont agriculture, not only are we a top dairy producer in terms of quality and one of the top 20 in terms of quantity, we also make some of the world's best cheeses. The artisanal cheese industry in this state is second to none.
Cheese is a $650 million wedge in Vermont's $2.2 billion annual dairy industry. And officials tout world-class quality of the Green Mountain State's strain. According to State Commerce Agency numbers, 60% of New England's milk supply is sourced in Vermont. And although the state does sell food across the globe, industry promotion groups like the Vermont Cheese Council advocate for so-called regional exports of products like raw milk cheeses, saying development and growth comes with almost no constraints or boundaries. But late last year, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration presented a hurdle when it changed guidelines for bacteria populations found in the Vermont staple. FDA decreased its recommendation for acceptable levels of non-toxigenic E. coli in raw milk cheeses from 10,000 mpn, or most probable number of microorganisms, to just 10 mpn per gram. Local producers and national lawmakers protested the move, claiming the added stringency is inconsistent with internationally recognized cheese standards and unnecessary because the strain of E. coli mentioned is typically not harmful to people. And recent FDA test results on commodity cheese samples concluded the overall contamination rate for generic E. coli was not high enough to conduct additional large-scale sampling. So instead, the agency will utilize a smaller compliance program as necessary.
Without high-quality milk, you don't have high-quality cheese. There's a lot of care that goes into producing cheese milk. Cheese milk and fluid milk are quite different. We work to produce a clean raw milk that we do pasteurize for some of our cheeses, and we certainly pay for it. Good, handmade, hand-grown food in general deserves a higher price tag.
Situated in the pristine Northeast Kingdom, a region nestled between the Green Mountains, Canada, and the Upper Connecticut River, Jasper Hill Farm produces cheese aged in bunker-style cellars on site, along with product from competitors. Quality manager Adam Smith finds such partnerships benefit much more than just the bottom line.
What's awesome about Vermont is a community of cheesemakers. There's a lot of support, there's a lot of exchange of ideas.
While milk-to-cheese conversion generally takes just a day, fermentation is the X factor. Some cheeses age for 2 weeks before being sent to high-end counters and supermarkets across the country. Other varieties can take up to 14 months for internal chemical changes to steadily improve texture, taste, and return on investment. And while the margin between risk and reward remains difficult to predict, Vermont's agricultural advocates are confident the cream will rise to the top.
Since 2009 to 2013, we've added over 4,000 jobs in the farm and food sector alone. That's real growth in a small state like this. Our dairy producers are providing great raw product, and our cheese producers are just killing it when it comes to all kinds of different kinds of cheese that are being sold not only here in Vermont, but quite frankly, worldwide.
For Market to Market, I'm Josh Bittner.